Robert Kovacs, who's putting in new dengue points in the garage, so that's why he's dressed the way he is. He's been humping your garage all day, the floors. And Bill Holger is our director of security here. I know you know Bill. So one of the things I want to try to get across to you is, no, don't let anyone tell you about your security without telling you what their credentials are. You need to, when you start taking advice from someone, they have to have the backing of education, training, and experience to be able to really get you to change your patterns, your lifestyles, and how you do things. We're going to discuss tonight how you can change a few simple personal behaviors, and I guarantee you that you will not be a victim of an opportune crime. Uh-oh, there we go. And I mean guarantee, because you're going to understand as we go through this that you actually help yourself being selected as a victim. You assist in the selection. The acronym is DOA. There has to be a desire, an opportunity, and the ability. You can't change the desire and the ability. The perpetrator has that. What you can change is the opportunity. And that's where you present yourself. So we're going to go through this, and I'm going to scare the crap out of you, because we're going to talk about crime, victims of crime. And hopefully from that fear of crime, you'll change those habits. I wrote in 1986, I was asked by the Justice Department when I was still a policeman in Baltimore to do the fear of crime studies for the country. And there was a new phenomenon taking place called community policing. And we found, when we did it in Newark, New Jersey, and Houston, Texas, random northeast city and a western, southwest city selected. And we spent 4 months in each place capturing information, interviewing people, almost like taking census information. And we found that the fear of crime was actually 10 times more debilitating than the actual crime. It's almost like the terrorists know today that when there's a terrorist act, we all change. It could be 1,000 miles away from us, but we all change. And that fear of crime is more debilitating than the actual crime, unless you're an actual victim. So we're going to look at the national crime clock. Where's my up down button? Give me one up. All right. The reason why you have 2014 statistics up there is because we're just about ready at the end of July for the federal government to publish last year's Uniform Crime Report. And the Uniform Crime Report tells you these are Part 1 offenses. Part 1 offenses, there is a tight definition so that the crime is reported uniformly across the United States so we have accurate statistics. In the United States, there's an index crime every 3.8 seconds, a murder every 34 minutes, a forcible sex offense every 2 minutes, and I'm not talking about date rape, I'm talking about forced sexual offense. Robbery every 48 seconds, and I'm talking about give me your money robbery. And an aggravated assault every 24 seconds. That means you were taken to the hospital. Grand theft every 2 seconds, and an automobile theft every 34 seconds. So while we're here tonight, that's the national crime clock. So, one up.
One up.
Down, I'm sorry. We're going to look at Florida. Florida is an index crime every 35 seconds, etc. You can see it's better, but not the, doesn't give me a warm and fuzzy feeling. And everybody's reporting crime is down, and it's been down for the last 5 consecutive years, etc. What city in Florida do you think has the highest per capita crime rate?
Miami.
Yeah.
Orlando. Orlando. I'll tell you why. we're going to get into it. You are the wildebeest on the Serengeti. The bad guys are the lions. When you go to Orlando, what do you take with you? Cash and credit cards and the things to have a vacation. And you go to a hotel to sleep, basically, so it's not with you. You use that little 35-cent safe that they put in the rooms, etc. So that is the number one, and I mean it's almost twice what the rest of the cities are. Can we go down again? But that's Florida. So I looked at Dade County, and I don't like to pick out cities in Dade County. Even though I was a police chief in Miami Beach, I still won't pick that city out, or Miami, and make small talk on that. But the county itself, because that's the way the data is carried, has an index crime every 5 minutes, 5.5, a murder every 71 hours, forcible sex offense every 500 minutes, robbery every 81 seconds. Aggravated assault every 75 minutes, burglary every 18 minutes, and so on and so on. These are the two that three that you live with. Robbery, and these are street robberies. These aren't the vernacular that regular people use. I was robbed. You weren't robbed. You were burglarized. Robbed means this. That's completely different. Now, I'll ask the guys in the crowd, when you go to Lincoln Road or you go to South, whatever you do, when you're walking, where do you carry your money?
Right.
I carry my money in my sock. I have $40 in my wallet. So if somebody says, give me your money, I'm going to give them my wallet. It's got 40 bucks in it. It doesn't piss them off, pardon my language. They made some, but they're not getting my money. When we bought these little accoutrements here for display and show and tell, we went to Home Depot and we're standing, except for the alarm stuff, we're standing in line, and a guy in front of us pulled out a lot of money to pay for whatever he had. We wanted to rob him. Why? If you're going to carry that much money, why would you operate with it? Why would you display it? Why would you show it? If you've got hundreds in a wallet, don't open a wallet up and show the hundreds. Have a couple of bucks that you operate with. The rest of your money put away. Pardon?
The socks weren't big enough.
Yeah.
Or he was probably wearing sandals.
No, his socks definitely weren't big enough. He had it at the New Jersey way, rolled with rubber bands around it. Okay, can we go down one? That last slide didn't give me a warm and fuzzy feeling to think that the crime was going away or going down so statistically significant that it didn't affect our lives. And I learned one thing as a police chief: I can't stop crime. You can't. What you can do is be very successful at moving it. And we were absolutely satisfied to push the bad guys into North Beach, into Miami, anywhere. It sounds terrible, but that was a success for the citizens that were paying my salary and we were responsible for. So anybody that tells you that you can stop crime is lying to you. We used to tell everybody that all the new police chiefs never take credit for crime going down unless you're willing to take the blame for it when it goes up. If I charted out the economy with a blue line, the red line of crime would be almost on top of it. So it is an economic driven industry. There are two types of criminals: the professional and the opportunist. I'd say probably at least 92% of all crime is committed by the opportunist. If a professional wants you, he's going to get you. If they targeted you, they will get you. Fortunately, we're not in that target category. The opportunist is somebody that has a propensity to commit a crime, but won't unless they're presented with the opportunity. A professional, we're going to get into this, where we actually set ourselves up. You see on TV now, they say, don't leave your car running when you get gas. Now, they're up in the Northeast, Midwest, that's terrible in the winter, because when you got the heat built up in your car, you do not want to shut it off when you get gas. Down here, we don't want to lose that air conditioning that we finally built up. If that's what you want to do, good luck. Either your car's going to get stolen or somebody's going to get in the other side. I get out of my car, I shut off. I hate it when I get back in. I had a black car. When you get back in it, it's hot, but my stuff's still there. So you have to think about what you do. Always. And if you do it regularly for a certain period of time, it's second nature. Look at putting on a seatbelt now. You don't even think about putting the seatbelt on when you get in the car. It's on. I never wear a seatbelt because for 40 years in the police business, you never were tied down by a seatbelt. You guys wear it. Great. Okay, we're going to talk about the things. Pass these out, or pass them around. These are photographs of the Ford jewelry that was stolen several years ago. And this was some expensive stuff. And she had the foresight to photograph it in scale. And we suggest that everybody that has jewelry photograph it in scale, scale meaning wear it, number it, describe it I think it's described on the second page, in color, especially if you have family heirlooms. Here's what happens. If you're unlucky enough and your stuff is actually stolen, you're going to call the police, and they're going to send a 26-year-old policeman there to take a report. And the most expensive piece of jewelry that he has is a Timex watch. And you're going to tell him about all the varied descriptions of this stuff that was your mother's and your mother-in-law's, et cetera, and you're going to, if you look at his eyes, he's basically glazed over because he's not listening anymore. So when you get a copy of the report, it says $100,000 of various woman's jewelry. So that report goes to the detectives and to the pawn shop detail, and they go, they can't do anything with it. What you want to do is have this, if hopefully you're never become a victim, this one and this one was stolen. Give them a copy. Have several copies of this in your safekeeping place for papers. That morning, this goes to the pawn shop detail, and they're right away looking for see if somebody's fencing it. There's been a lot of cases. This stuff was recovered just because arrests were made because of these photographs. So we strongly recommend you do that. I'm going to bounce around a little bit on stuff while I'm thinking about it. We talk about safes. If you don't have a safe, I really don't know why you don't have a safe. That's not a fire-rated safe that's mounted to your floor if the association will let you mount anything to the floor. Or if it's not, it's so heavy it's going to take a group of people to move it. Doesn't need to be, it cannot be in your master bedroom. Dumbest place in the world to put it. Somebody does break into your apartment or your home, that's going to be the beeline for the master bedroom. Why? That's where all the toys are kept. Usually on the ladies' side of the master bedroom is where the expensive stuff is kept. If you have a safe, you have to make sure that you keep your stuff in there. My wife wants to, well, it's such a pain to go, you know. So I said, it might be a pain, but it's not nearly as big a pain as when we come home and the door's open and our stuff is gone. You'll never recover your heirlooms. When I was a police chief, it used to make me almost cry that I would be selling your stuff at auction and profiting by it, because we recovered it, you can't positively identify it, because you don't have any description, bill of sales, etc. That's what you need. Or you'll watch us sell your stuff. Believe me. Who has the serial number of their Rolex? Maybe, if you're lucky, if you bought it from a jeweler, which a lot of us don't do, he might have it. So you have to protect yourself from being a permanent victim of crime. You get victimized twice. It was stolen from you, and then you're standing there crying while we sell it. Because we've recovered it, and you can't prove it's yours. That's just a terrible dilemma. All right, we're going to talk about some things that are our behaviors. When I go out, I concern myself with my entire jewelry. Now let's give this out now, Bill, if we can. In this, I'm going to give you this to take home and read, but there's some rhetorical questions in here. When you go out, unless you're going out to a fancy event where you're supposed to be dressed, you don't want to look wealthy. You want to look like everybody else looks. It's hard not to look like everybody else looks down here. It's so hot. But you don't have to. You want to blend in is the best description I can give you. You want to blend in. And these are things that are in here that you can read at your leisure. If you wear your if you're beguiled with your jewelry and everything else, you're asking for an issue. If you carry a purse snatches have really declined. They used to be a huge thing, but purse snatches now are on the uptick via bicycle. They'll ride by you on Lincoln Road, Ocean Drive, any road. Yank your purse, they're already going 15 miles an hour. If you don't get yanked down, they're gone. If I were you and I had to carry a purse, I'd have a brake clip on that purse so that I wouldn't get drugged or beat up because of the purse. If somebody tries to take your purse, my advice to you is let it go and then head the other way. It's property. Is there anything in your purse worth dying for or getting really, really hurt for? That's what you have to ask yourself. So really cut back on the jewelry. And let me tell you, they can see your watch from across the street. They can see the gold. I wear the bracelets. I don't wear them when I'm in shorts and t-shirts on the weekend. I just don't do it, especially when I'm with my wife. I don't want to draw any attention to us. We used to tell people, I'm going to say the word, there's a place in Boca Raton called the Polo Club. And I fought them for a year to change their parking decals, their authorization decals, because it said Polo Club. You know where you live. You don't have to have a sign on your car that says, I live at the Polo Club, for all the other idiots to see. You don't need to do it. Have a number, a barcode, something. And they finally did change it. It was just too much. We had a lady that her and her girlfriend were invited to Tiffany's for a wine and cheese party. So they dressed up, they wore all their jewelry and everything, and it was an evening party at Tiffany's. And they pulled up, and she gave the keys to her $60,000 car to a guy that was hired for the evening at $6 an hour for valet. And I'm not making fun of the valet industry, but she got picked, selected, when she gave the keys with her. She didn't pull off a valet key. She gave her everything, her house key, clicker to get in the community, etc. And a big sign on the back, the access control. So when she came out, her and her girlfriends at 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, she went, drove 3 or 4 miles. And how many of you look in your rear view mirror and watch to see if you're being mimicked by cars, particularly at night. And it's an old habit of mine. I do it all the time, all the time. So she drove probably 5 or 6 miles and a bunch of turns, pulled up to the resident gate in our community, and opened. She went in, and she was tailgating. She didn't. If she would have saw it, she could have said to the guard at the gate, "Can you check the car behind me and see if it's legit, if it's a resident? Because if it is, we'll apologize. If it isn't, we'll take action." She dropped off her 2 girlfriends, parked, stopped in her driveway, and they beat the living hell out of her and took everything she had, her jewelry and this and that. And I mean, really hammered her. So she didn't even know she was selected for hours. She was selected when she parked the car. They waited for her to come out. 3 older ladies, all the jewelry, wine and cheese party. They're going to be drinking a little bit, etc. So they were very vulnerable, and that's what the opportunist does. When I drive at night looking for a parking space, this is mainly for girls. Guys don't care. We'll park anywhere. I don't park anywhere when my wife's with me. I don't park anywhere when my grandchildren are with me. Particularly in the winter when I park at 4 and it's going to be dark at 5. When I come out, I want to know where it's going to be lit. I'm going to park it. So I'll ride around because we're impatient. We'll park anywhere, even illegally. You guys won't. Drive around. You'd be surprised how many parking spaces will free up close to the building if you're patient. When I walk, I take my surroundings into account. When you walk on the side of the street and somebody's approaching you, and I don't mean Lincoln Road where there's 3,000 people and you're just trying to not bump into them. I mean, you're on a street, it's you and the person coming the other way, and it's a guy. And I don't care if you're a guy or not. What do? How do you eclipse each other? Usually, we look at the sidewalk, and you all do, at night. What we're suggesting you do is make eye contact. Now, don't put the evil eye on them and stare at them. Just glance up. What that tells that person is they know what I look like. What they're looking for is for you not to know what they look like. So glance at them and just keep walking. Don't say good evening or anything else. Just keep walking. But don't do this. Because as soon as you get past, you may get one on the back of the head because you have no idea what they look like. You don't know what their shoes look like. And I'll give you a couple sad examples of that. We had, is my sock in there? We had a couple really bad cases. Yeah, good. Really bad cases of smash and grabs from cars. Ladies, I'm going to tell you how to avoid the beggars on the street. Everybody's uncomfortable with the jingling the cups and everything else. You see them, they're there, you know where they're going to be, and you're going to have to stop, right? Don't pull up, stop short. Leave a gap. And as they come towards you, just pull up. They'll go right to the idiot behind you. It's simple. It's a step that you can take that totally controls that situation. It's back in your control, not theirs. Never be so close that if the you-know-what hits the fan, you can't stomp on the gas and move. I don't care if it's a curb. I don't care if it's a guardrail. If somebody's trying to get in my car, I'm going. They're hanging on. I tell everybody when you drive on 95, drive in the center lane. It's the only the lane that's crowned. The only lane that's crowned. You got 2 ways to go, especially with this Indianapolis barriers they're putting up. You can go left, you can go right, and you're not going to get pinned in. I don't follow close, and I don't let somebody follow me close. So you have to pay attention to your surroundings. I routinely carry large amounts of cash. You have to ask yourself why. Why do you do that? Can we go down one? Next one. I drive anywhere I want to go, and I routinely take shortcuts through unfamiliar areas. I don't. I tell everybody that visits me from the Northeast. I had a guy called me from Detroit that didn't want to, I don't know, land at Miami Airport. I don't know. I said, you live in Detroit and you're worried about coming here? So you have to, I tell everybody that visits me, you don't drive on a street you're unfamiliar with. If it has an NW in front of it, you're going to be in some areas that are in transition. Now they're changing also too. But you stay on the main drags. You don't get off 95. You don't go up Biscayne Boulevard. You certainly don't go up 2nd Avenue if you're a tourist. I live on Alton Road. And I'm going to tell you, if I had a nickel for every time some poor dummy parked in front of my house that opened up a 5x7 map, and the city's about this big, that they're trying to find where they're going instead of refolding it into the section they need and holding it down. Well, the telephones have eliminated a lot of that with GPS, but we used to watch it all the time. We had to get, when I was the police chief, we had to force the state legislature to remove leased vehicle from the tags of rental cars. Force them. They would wait for them, lined up like cabs almost, as they left the airport, and they'd get lost and robbed. I love this one. When using an ATM, I'm aware of my surroundings. If it's dark and you're using an ATM, you really got to question your planning. If you've lost control of your life to the point where you have to go to an ATM at night, you need to rethink your planning. If you do go to an ATM, always go to a bank. They're cambered. A lot of the other ones aren't, and they know that too. I pay attention to people and surroundings. Go down one more. Rear view mirror. Ladies, where do you carry your purse when you drive alone?
Passenger floor.
Passenger seat?
Passenger floor.
Okay, floor. I saw somebody point to the seat. The worst case. If you can ask any Dade County cop, if they catch a kid with a sock, a tube sock, and a golf ball or a spark plug in their pocket, they get arrested. This is the #1 way to break in a car, whether you're in it or not. Put a golf ball in a sock, and you hit the side window. Glass goes, gone, shatters, disintegrates. And if you're in the car and you're holding your purse dutifully, here's what you're going to do. And the purse is going to be sitting there. We had a policeman's ball in '91. Everybody's dressed to the nines. The assistant chief was coming with his wife on Biscayne Boulevard at 395. We stopped in traffic. There was a guy walking down the cars, looking in. No purse, no purse, no purse. Purse! Bang! Grabbed their purse and ran. This guy was a 23-year policeman. You know what the description he gave us? I have no idea. They both were startled, ducked from the flying glass. Guy's gone. It happens that quick. And that's what they're preying on or hoping for, is that they startle you or hurt you or scare you enough that you couldn't describe. The barrel on the gun looked that big. That's what you hear. Okay. And this one always, this large purse. My wife and I have many discussions about this. She carries a purse that needs wheels on it. But when we go out dressed for a fancy affair, she put everything she needs in a purse that big with a chain on it. So it's amazing. Carry your purse on the floor, the passenger floor, under the seat. You don't put it under the seat, your seat on the floor, because if something happens, it's going to come out into your feet. So, out of sight. Next one, please. You're a good AV person. Okay. I want to talk about go back for a minute. No, you're good. The cars and the crime and the things that we put ourselves into. While we're talking about cars, I'm gonna bring up this. Guys, you know what this is?
I have one.
It's a spring-loaded center punch, all right?
I still don't know what it is.
Okay.
That's
We live in a community of canals, all right? And I tell you that I have a 38-minute audio tape of a woman that ran off the turnpike into a canal, a lake, not a canal, and she drowned. And they talked to her for 38 minutes. She had no idea where she was. So when you're on a highway, you need to know where you're at. Mile markers are a good thing. Even if you don't count every one, you'll know some exits, etc. But have these in your car. I don't mean in the console where we got all this stuff we have to get out of the way. I have mine Velcroed right on the inside of my sun visor to my wife's car and my car. And when you get in trouble and you have electronic ignition, you're going to go into water, the windows aren't going to work. So you got to wait till the pressure equalizes by the water. In other words, the car filling up with water before you can get out. You can't open the door unless you have this, because you're not going to carry the sock and the golf ball. This is pulled out, touch it. As soon as it clicks, window disappears. You can get out.
What's the name?
Spring-loaded center punch. They're $3 Home Depot. Wrap Velcro around them, put them there, don't take them down. Now, the reason why I say that, because I get more and more concerned about women and grandparents that carry their, listen, I raised 4 kids in a 38-cent car seat. It was plastic and it was junk. But we didn't have seat belts, etc. I mean, we didn't have crank cars, but I mean, we didn't have that kind of stuff. Now they're strapped in like a NASCAR race driver. How are you going to get yourself out and that baby out of that car in that kind of time? So you have to have a plan. You can't try to formulate one once it happens. And if you have children that have young kids, even 6, 7, 8 years old, that are in seatbelts, you got to have a plan to get out. If you see a good cop on the street, you're talking to him or you're at an accident scene, if they have a scissors, all paramedics carry them, but if you see a cop with his scissors, he's handled an accident where a guy was pinned in the seatbelt. If you wear a seatbelt and there's an accident, the seatbelt's probably rolled underneath where you can't get to it. So you just cut the seatbelt and you can get them out. So, but most people don't think of that kind of stuff, and the police department doesn't issue them. This is a very good tool. Now, there's even a better one on the market now. It's about that tall. It's a